I am 98 years old, and I am sitting on the edge of my bed with a drawer full of proof that I wasted my life. Not drugs, not gambling receipts, not love letters to someone I shouldn't have loved. Calendars, 6 wall calendars, still sealed in their original plastic, never opened, never hung, never used. 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. I bought them in bulk from a drugstore because they were on sale, 2 for $5. I thought that was a smart deal. I thought I was being practical, buying ahead, planning for the future. The future. That's funny. The future came and went 6 times while these sat in a drawer next to my reading glasses and a bottle of eucalyptus lotion, and I never once pulled one out and hung it on the wall. The plastic is still tight around them. The spines are still stiff. I'm holding the 2019 one right now, and the plastic crinkles when I turn it over, and the sound it makes in this quiet room is the loneliest sound I've ever heard. Louder than the bedside lamp humming, louder than the baseboard heater ticking. It's the sound of a year I thought I'd get to, still waiting for me to show up. Let me tell you how a man gets to 98 years old with nothing but blank pages to show for it. I was an accountant. 40 years. Same firm, same desk, same chair that squeaked when I leaned back. I was good at it. Not flashy, not brilliant. Good, reliable. I balanced other people's books, and I kept my own life balanced the same way. Everything in its column, everything on schedule, no surprises. I was the kind of man who changed his oil every 3,000 miles and got his teeth cleaned every 6 months and put money into savings every paycheck and never, not once, did something just because it felt good. My wife, Dorothy, she was the opposite. She was the color in a black and white photograph. She wanted things, not expensive things, experiences. She wanted to go to Italy. She'd been talking about it since our 20s. Rome, Florence, Venice, the whole route. She had a travel magazine she kept on her nightstand, and she'd dog-ear the pages and show me pictures of fountains and cobblestone streets and say, "Wouldn't that be something, Arthur?" And I'd say, "After retirement, we'll go after I retire." I retired at 67. She brought it up again. I said, "Let's wait until we get settled. Let me figure out the budget on a fixed income." There was always a reason. The reason was never money, not really. The reason was me. I was a man who planned for life instead of living it. I kept joy in a holding pattern like an airplane circling the airport, waiting for conditions that were never going to be perfect enough to land. My buddy Gene invited me fishing every spring, every single spring for 15 years. He had a cabin upstate, nothing fancy, just a dock on a lake and a cooler full of beer, and a weekend with no agenda. Every year he'd call in March and say, "Arthur, the lake's thawing. You coming this year?" And every year I'd say, "Next season, Gene. Things are a little hectic right now." Things were never hectic. I was an accountant living in a paid-off house. I just couldn't bring myself to leave the routine. The routine was my oxygen. The routine was my prison, and I decorated the cell so nicely I thought it was a home. My daughter Karen moved to Colorado in her 30s. Beautiful place. She kept asking me to visit. Dad, the mountains are incredible. You'd love it out here. Come for a week. And I'd say, when things settle down, sweetheart. Things were settled. Things had been settled for decades. I just kept saying when, like it was a door I was going to walk through eventually, not realizing that every when I said was a door closing. I had a calendar on the kitchen wall every year. You know what was written on it? Dentist, oil change, property tax due, recycling pickup. That was my life. 12 months of maintenance. I maintained everything except the things that mattered. I maintained the car and the house and the yard and the gutters and the furnace. And I let every relationship, every dream, every spontaneous, beautiful thing rot on the vine because it wasn't scheduled. Now let me tell you about the moment I can't undo. And I need to go slow here because this is the part I need you to carry with you. Dorothy was diagnosed, pancreatic. The doctor used a lot of words, but the only ones I heard were 2 years, optimistically. We drove home in silence. The kind of silence that has weight, like the air in the car turned to concrete. I could hear the turn signal clicking. I could hear her breathing. I could smell her hand lotion, the lavender one she kept in her purse. When we got home, she sat at the kitchen table and she said, very quietly, "I'd still like to see Rome, Arthur." And you know what I said? God forgive me. You know what I said? Let's get you better first, then we'll go. Let's get you better first. As if I could schedule her recovery like an oil change. As if I could pencil in Italy for some Tuesday after the cancer cleared up. I was still doing it. I was still pushing life into the next square on the calendar, even when there were almost no squares left. She never got better. She died on a Tuesday in April of 2018. Spring. The trees outside her window were blooming, and I remember thinking how rude that was. The world turning green while she was turning gray. After the funeral, I was cleaning up, moving through the house the way you do when grief has made you mechanical. And I found it on her nightstand, the travel magazine, the one she'd had for years. The pages were so dog-eared some of them were falling out. And folded inside the front cover was a printout from the computer. An itinerary. Rome, 7 days. She'd planned the whole thing. Hotels, restaurants, walking routes. She'd even looked up the weather for October. She did everything except book the tickets, because she was waiting for me to say yes. I never said yes. In 53 years of marriage, that woman asked me for one thing over and over, and I never once said yes. I sat on the edge of our bed holding that itinerary, and the paper smelled like her lotion, and I understood for the first time that I had not been a patient man. I had been a coward. Patience is waiting for something you intend to do. I was just postponing things I was afraid to begin. That was 6 years ago. Now I'm here, and these calendars are spread across my bed like a map of every year I let slip through my fingers. My days now are small. I wake up at 5 because my body won't let me sleep past it. I make oatmeal, the same bowl, the same spoon. I sit at the kitchen table where Dorothy used to sit, and I eat alone, and the sound of that spoon scraping the bowl could drive a man insane if he thought about it too long. I check the mailbox around 11, but there's nothing in it except flyers and medical bills. I sit in a chair by the window, and I watch the street, and sometimes a whole hour will pass, and I won't have a single thought, just existence, just time draining out of me like water from a slow leak. Gene died in 2020. Never went fishing with him, not once. 15 years of invitations, and I declined every single one. And now the man is in the ground, and the lake is still there, and the dock is still there, but my friend is not, and that next season I kept promising is never coming. Karen still calls, Sundays mostly. The calls are shorter now. She worries about driving out to see me. I tell her I understand. I do understand. I also understand that I could have gone to Colorado 100 times, and I chose not to. And now my legs don't work well enough to get through an airport. I picked up the 2024 calendar tonight, and I peeled the plastic off for the first time. Slid my thumbnail along the seam and pulled it away and opened it. Every page is white. Every square is blank. 365 days of nothing. It looks like a book someone started to write and gave up on before the first word. That's my autobiography. Technically full of days. Not a single one worth writing down. I did the math tonight because that's what I do. I'm an accountant. I count things. At 98 years old, the actuarial tables give me maybe one more calendar. Maybe. Probably less. I've got maybe a few hundred squares left, and I've already wasted thousands. The arithmetic of a wasted life is very simple. Subtract the days you actually lived from the days you were alive, and the difference is what you lost. My difference is enormous. My difference could fill a room. Now I'm looking at you. Yes, you. Sitting there right now, watching this on a screen, and I know exactly what you're doing, because I did it for 98 years. You're waiting. You're telling yourself the same lie I told myself. Next year, when things calm down, when I have more money, when the kids are older, when I retire, when. When is not a plan. When is a coffin you build one excuse at a time. What is the thing you've been postponing? Name it. Right now. Don't think about it for later. Name it now. The trip, the call, the visit, the conversation you've been avoiding, the person you've been meaning to reach out to, the thing your wife has been asking for, or your husband, or your kid, or your friend, the thing you keep moving to next month's calendar like it'll feel more convenient in 30 days. It won't. It never does. And one day there won't be a next month. Time is not a savings account. You don't get to store it up and spend it later. Every day you are given is either lived or lost, and the lost ones don't come back with interest. They just vanish. They go into a drawer like a calendar still wrapped in plastic, and 20 years later someone pulls them out and wonders what you were waiting for. I'll tell you what I was waiting for. I was waiting for a feeling of readiness that never came. I was waiting to feel like it was the right time, and the right time was every single morning I woke up and chose maintenance over living. I'm going to do something now I should have done years ago. There's a pen on my nightstand. I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to open this calendar to today's date, and I'm going to write something in the square. One word. I'm not going to tell you what it is. That's mine. The first thing that's been mine in a long time. But I need you to hear this. Fill the squares. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not when things settle down. Tonight. Open whatever calendar you've got on your wall or your phone or your desk and write something in tomorrow's square that isn't an oil change. Write something that matters. Write something that scares you a little. Write the name of the person you've been meaning to call. Write the place you've been meaning to go. Write the word yes. Fill the squares. While you still have squares to fill. Because I promise you, and this is a 98-year-old man who has buried his wife, outlived his best friend, and is sitting alone on a bed surrounded by 6 years of blank pages promising you this. The only days you lose are the ones you were saving for later. There is no later. There is only now with a pen in your hand. Use it.